Today we're going to have a look at a microwave kiln. It's my interest is in at the moment is in firing metal clay, and I've been using copper clay and I've made quite a few things, some nice things and some not so nice things. And the microwave kiln is a kind of cheap option for firing things without having to torch. I'll talk about that in a second. This is how the microwave kiln came. I bought it from Amazon, cost 26 quid, and this is how it came. The kiln comes in two parts. There's a polystyrene bit of packaging to protect it, and that's it. It just says made in China on the bottom. So there's no instructions, no advice. When you buy one of these, you're pretty much on your own. It's down to experimenting on how it works. It works with an ordinary domestic microwave, and from what I've read, any size of microwave will do the job. The only thing that will vary is the length of time it takes to actually fire whatever it is you're trying to fire inside it. Most people seem to use this for doing fused glass. You can also do things like enamelling and firing ordinary clay, small pieces obviously. And as I say, my interest is in using metal clay, making small copper and silver components. And I deliberately, for that reason, I deliberately bought the smallest size. They do this in three sizes, small, medium and large. Although I haven't seen a medium one, I've only seen small and large. But I guess you kind of pays your money and you take your choice. The length of time it takes to fire will vary quite a lot. And that will depend on several things. It will depend on what it is you're firing and what power your microwave is. All you can do is to experiment with the process that you're interested in. The reason that I decided to buy one of these was because I started out with my metal clay work torch firing, and although I got to a point where I was successful, quite a lot of the time, I still had a lot of failures. There's a risk with torch firing of overcooking it and burning it. This little shell I made, I don't know if you can see that, that turned out okay because it's actually quite a thick bit of copper. But this was a little shell, and I actually melted it in seconds using a torch. I made a nice little leaf pendant, and I burned off this end, as you can see, using the torch. And the same with this little thin shell thing I made as a test piece. I actually burned away the end of it again. So the whole process of torch firing is a bit like, it constantly felt like I was teetering on the edge of disaster. So I decided to get this microwavable kiln. And it comes in two parts. As you can see, it's got a burning area on the base. And this burning area is about 2.5 inches across in diameter, and that's the limit on size of anything you can put in it. And in fact, I don't know, I've never put anything that big. The biggest thing I've ever fired in it is that, which is a copper shell, which actually turned out really, really nice. And you can see it's nowhere near as big as the actual base of this, so I can't guide you on whether you can do bigger things. The base is simply a circle, there's nothing about that. The material it's made of is a ceramic, fireproof ceramic, lightweight material, which obviously takes the heat. And when you lift the lid off, you can see the inside of the lid is lined with, I think it's silica carbide, but it's a liner that absorbs the microwaves and glows absolutely red hot, and that's actually the source of the heat for the kiln. There's also a vent hole in the top. This is an imperfection, an impurity in the ceramic material. But so far it hasn't had any detrimental effect at all. As I say, since using the kiln, I've fired a lot of pieces quite successfully, and the best of them is this shell, which turned out really well, and this little shell as well. And what I'm going to try and do now is fire another small shell, just to show you the process. The process is entirely down to experimentation. All you can do is suck it and see. The process I'm using, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fire this up for 8 minutes on full power, and then after that what I do is I inspect it to have a look, put the lid back on, and it'll glow red hot, and I just kind of play it by ear. I just keep an eye on it, and maybe I'll fire it more, maybe at that point I'll say it's had enough and I'll just leave it. So this is my microwave oven. It's an 850 to 900 watt, and I've set it up here in the workshop, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So here's our microwave kiln, and I use kiln paper to rest the pieces on, just to stop them sticking on the base. This is a copper clay shell I made up. It's absolutely dry. And you simply place it on the middle, put the lid on, and put it in your microwave. One thing that I do is I use a few spare pieces of the microwave paper under the kiln to give me a gap between the base of the kiln and the glass plate that goes round. Some people take the plate out and don't use it, so the kiln doesn't rotate. I just think, and I don't know this for certain, but I just think you must get a more even heating if the kiln's rotating, if the plate is rotating. After all, that's the way the microwave was designed, and I have found that by simply putting 4 pieces of kiln paper under it, it does stop this glass plate getting quite so hot. If you don't do that, it really does get very hot, worryingly hot. So that's it, it's all set up to go. I've got a pair of heat-proof gloves ready for use, and I'm wearing my protective glasses, and I think you should take all sorts of precautions when you're doing this. But that's it, set up and ready to go, and I'm just going to set it up for 8 minutes and set it running. Now I can see from the vent hole that is glowing really hot now. Look at the colour of that, and the piece is glowing orange hot, and it's actually a little bit too hot, so I'm going to leave that off for a second, and I think we're done. Lift out, as you can see it's glowing red. And there we are, quenched. Now this is incredibly hot. You couldn't handle this with your bare hands, and it's still glowing a bit red hot even though it's out in the air, and it'll stay hot for probably 5 or 6 minutes, uncomfortably hot. And that's the process. It's pretty simple once you get the technique worked out. Let's have a look at our copper piece. And there it is. And it is really nicely fired. Where are we? There we go. And there's the piece. nicely fired, hard and ready for cleaning. This will now be cleaned up and what have you. So the kiln works, which has left some of you wondering why I entitled this video why you shouldn't buy it. Well, the reason I think you shouldn't buy it is because, first of all, it's inherently dangerous. It's an inherently dangerous bit of equipment. You're handling red hot components, and if you're doing this in a kitchen, it would be doubly dangerous. And my main complaint is that the manufacturer has pretty well abrogated all responsibility. There are no instructions on its use. So in use, I have lots of questions. For example, would it blow up if you overfired it? I mean, I'm using it for 8 minutes or 9 minutes at a time and what have you. But if you were to put this on for 15 minutes, would it actually explode? I don't know. The only way to find out would be to set the thing up for 20 minutes or 15 minutes and find out. There's no safety instructions about handling it. I mean, that, after me talking now for several minutes, is still extremely hot. And the risks just go on. You have to take it out of the microwave to get to the piece of work and remove it. Now, with some pieces, you might be quite content to let them cool down, but with the metal clay you have to take it out and quench it, and the only practical way of doing that is to take it out. And imagine in your kitchen if you were to drop this kiln as you lift it out of the microwave onto a tiled floor. You would have pieces of red hot shrapnel floating around the kitchen at your legs and your feet and at the base of your wooden units. It's actually quite a risky thing, and this is not well designed. It's not well designed for lifting. All you can do is grip it with the bottom of your hands and hope that you don't drop it. The manufacturer is also anonymous. You can find out when you can print off an invoice from Amazon and it'll tell you who the seller is, but it doesn't tell you who the manufacturer is. There's no manufacturer's marks, there's no manufacturer's stamp or any way of identifying the manufacturer. And most things that come from China are sold by marketing companies. They know very little about what they're selling. So I don't think we should be buying things where the manufacturer is avoiding their responsibilities. That's my view. I think it's inherently a dangerous, risky thing to use. Although if you're careful, obviously, you'll reduce the risk. I certainly don't think you should use one of these in a domestic kitchen. Oh, and there's another risk. Not so long ago, I was using this in my kitchen, and I put it on a granite work surface just like this after I'd finished, and I went to go and do something else, and my wife came in from the shopping, and I suddenly realised that she might move it. She might just get hold of it with her hands. Can you imagine getting inside there with your fingers? Even now, that is really, really hot. It's just a risky thing. I get grandchildren visiting. I just wouldn't use this in the house at all now. I will only do this work in the workshop where I don't get casual visitors. So should you buy it? Well, no, because the manufacturer doesn't take responsibility. Does it work? Yes, it does. Am I going to send it back? Well, no, because I'm actually looking forward to playing with it. And one day I'm going to put this in the microwave and whack the timer up and see if it explodes. But first of all, I've got to get a second-hand microwave. Anybody know where I can get one? Thanks for watching. I hope you find this interesting, and at least you can make an informed decision about whether you want to buy one. If you did enjoy this and find it informative, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more reviews, and I'm going to be playing around with this thing quite a bit, and I'll show you the videos of me doing that. And if you want to see more of those, please subscribe to the channel. And if you ring the bell, you'll be notified when I upload new videos. So please do that as well. Thanks for watching. And if you do get one of these, be very, very, very careful. Very, very careful. But they are good fun in a kind of risky, scary way.